Good evening, everyone. My name is Sherry Mayberry, and I want to welcome you tonight to All About G-Whiz, our webinar that hopefully is going to give all of you just a little bit more information about G-Whiz and our new website. Beth Smith is going to be our trainer tonight, and I'm going to turn it over to her in just one second. But just want to let everyone know, I hope the problem is if you can't hear me, you're not going to hear this message, but make sure you choose under your audio tab, your computer audio, unless you're using your phone. So that's very critical. We always get someone that says, I can't hear. So just that's important. Um, Also, there's two handouts and you can just download those. Beth's going to be using a PowerPoint right now. These handouts are also on our webpage, which will show you where that is too, if we don't get it right before we get started. But with that, I'm going to turn it over to Beth. So we got a lot to cover, and we try to keep it right at an hour. So, Beth?
Good evening, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. I was looking over the registration list, and we have people from almost all over the United States. And I know that, you have very long days. So like Sherry said, we will try to keep this moving along, but we do feel like this is a very beneficial webinar, not just for those of you who are actually subscribing to G-Whiz right now, but also those who are looking for a new curriculum. We also have some quality specialists or coaches on the line, and it's supposed to be a very, hopefully very informational webinar for you as well. As Sherry said, we're going to keep moving. As far as a certificate of attendance, we always get asked that question. I want to cover it up front. There will be a Google form that you will complete at the end of this webinar. I'll show you where the link is to access that. And then at the end of the Google form, once you hit submit, you'll see a URL or an address for the certificate, which you can then block copy and put in your browser to be able to print that out for your records. It is not active right now, so if you tried to go to the Google form, it would say, sorry, not taking submissions. But I just want to make sure I covered that up front. So with that said, we're going to get started. Oh, excuse me. So what are we going to learn tonight? Okay, well, these are my main goals for you. Just like you have goals for the children, I have goals for this webinar. First and foremost, what is the G-Whiz curriculum? How is it different from other options that you may have used or have seen? Why are more providers, particularly family child care providers, choosing G-Whiz? How does G-Whiz curriculum include what does it include and how to use the components? This is especially important for those of you who are brand new to the curriculum, which we have a lot of brand new customers right now. Why is using a curriculum important in the first place? And how does G-Whiz connect with your chosen child assessment? That always comes up about whether or not we have our own assessment tool. And we have a better way we think of doing that. And I will cover that as we go through this PowerPoint presentation and then when we get into our website. So what I would like to start with first and foremost is a question to those of you on the webinar this evening who are customers currently, who are using G-Whiz, about why you chose G-Whiz as your curriculum. And Sherry is going to share some of your responses so that those of you who are not current customers can hear why other providers have chosen to use G-Whiz. So there is a question box where you can type your response, and then Sherry will read those out. It should be up in your toolbar. And I would love to hear what you have to say.
Take your time. But you should see the question box in the upper right-hand corner. And if your box is collapsed, click on the orange button at the top and it will expand where you can type in your questions. Or I'm sorry, the answer to the question Beth just proposed to you. I've chosen to try something new, but I pray I can get feedback on help because it's my first time. That's why we're
I'm glad you're here. Yep.
Yeah. Less leftover material and no shipping.
Shipping has gotten very expensive. That is true.
Cost flexibility can be connected to my state standards. So I'm loving this program because it's hands-on and it's keeping my kids busy. I love the multi-ages included. Easy to use. designed for mixed age group, crosswalk to the PA early learning standards, and very reasonably priced. I'm new to G-Whiz, and how do you use it? I think they just want to know how to use it. Flexible for the home daycare providers that have mixed age, easily accessible, and a great value. Um, I am a quality improvement specialist. I have used TS Gold as a preschool teacher, and I'm learning about other curriculums that are available. I have chosen G-Whiz because it is a benefit for all ages and is easy to use, very reasonably priced. So a lot of similar answers. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you so much for sharing. We think that that feedback from you as a provider is much more powerful than anything we could possibly say. And for those of you who are looking for help on using the curriculum, that's why you're here. And hopefully by the end of this evening, you'll have a much better idea about all the components and how they're meant to be used. Thank you so much. All right, so the key characteristics of Gee-Whiz and how we are different or unique. Number one is that we're written specifically for a mixed age group. Our lesson plans have activities for infants, toddlers, 2s, 3s, 4s, and even school-age children, which right now in the COVID situation can be a real benefit, I'm sure. We deliver it via our website, as some people mentioned, no shipping and handling required, which means if you subscribe and your payment clears, you immediately have access to the curriculum. So you don't have to wait for anything. And it's flexible because you can choose what you want to print or what you would want to just view on your computer, tablet, or even your phone. It costs a lot less, up to 70% less than a lot of the prepackaged curriculums you may have used or have seen. We are constantly updating and enhancing this curriculum. And one thing, for instance, that's coming up, you will see in the September units are COVID-19 adaptations. So let me give you an example. We had some feedback from someone in Minnesota that they were not allowing children to share Play-Doh. So I put COVID adaptations into an activity we were doing that utilized Play-Doh, which simply said, just give each child their own ball of Play-Doh in a plastic baggie or a little box or whatever you want to keep it in, labeled with their name, and that way everybody has their own Play-Doh. So there's going to be different adaptations based on different activities. It won't be for every single one, but where I feel like it's necessary or it would be beneficial, I'll put it in there. We also include free training via these webinars. And so this is our introduction about our curriculum, but we also do webinars on topics like open-ended questioning, making math meaningful, things, the why behind experiences. We've done one on using household materials as teaching tools. So we do a lot of training throughout the year, and it's free and available to everyone, whether you're a customer or not. So that we feel like it's super important to support you. So, one of the things I hear a lot in talking with providers is about stress. And right now, given the situation, we are all facing a lot of stress. I have 2 college students that would rather be anywhere but home right now. So, there's a lot of stress here too. So, what is or what do you feel causes you the most stress? You can type your ideas in the question box, and Sherry will share them.
Today would be a great day for me to answer that question because it's been stressful. But okay, kids being bored. Parents, oh, that's a good one. We have a whole
Yes,
workshop on communication. Too much, too much to do and not enough time. Right
definitely.
now, how to do this with COVID requirements.
Hmm.
Keeping school-age children engaged all day.
Oh my.
And
And your little ones too at the same time.
yeah, trying to keep the children apart during COVID. Being unprepared, whoops, being unprepared paperwork.
Oh, always so much paperwork.
Being the only staff for different ages. Parents again. Mask on the kids. Uh, keeping the little ones keeping the little ones engaged and friendly because they're experiencing stress also, whether we realize it or not.
And a lot of times their behavior of how they're, having a good day, bad day is their way of expressing that stress.
Those are all good points. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much. Well, one of the biggest benefits that we hear from providers using G-Whiz is it can help you reduce stress. There are many reasons why it helps to reduce your stress level, but a lot of it has to do with the fact that when you use Gee-Whiz, you know that you're addressing all ages, you know that you're addressing all 10 developmental areas, you know that you're addressing 40 different skills, and you know that you're addressing your state standards. So right there, that relieves a lot of stress. We cannot necessarily help you with a parent that's not being so nice or being very demanding, but that may be a webinar we do down the road about how to work with parents who are that way. So again, we're here to support you, and our goal as a company is to not just provide you with a curriculum, but provide you with support to help you implement that curriculum in the best way possible. So what we're going to do now is we're going to start going into some of the components that are part of G-Whiz. And I'm doing this webinar in a different fashion than I've done it in the past because I feel like we always have such a mix of people, some who are customers, some who are not, but I think this information can be very beneficial to everyone. So our teaching guide is the core of our curriculum. And there are 10 days of activities in each teaching guide. And each month there are 2 units. So for instance, for the month of August, we have the 2 units which were Healthy and Strong, I believe, and Fantastic Friends. And so within those 2 units, you have a total of 20 days of experiences, and there's actually much more planned in there than you can probably get done in 20 days. Every day has an exploring together, which is like a circle time, but not a time when you're just chattering on and they're listening. It's actually a time when you're all engaged together doing something. There are 2 small group experiences. They may be completely child directed where the children, you set out the materials and they basically take it in their own direction, or it might be something where you're involved to some degree, but you're not necessarily leading it. You're supporting, you're engaging. And there's always an infant experience. In addition to that, in the back, we have school age experiences. There are 6 of those, and they are designed so that each one can be done for more than one day. In other words, it's an activity you might start one day and carry over. Now, given the fact that some of you may have school-age children all day long, they may be able to complete that activity in one day. It just really depends on your schedule. We use picture codes in the lesson plans to link to the developmental areas. When we go into our website and we look at a teacher's guide, I'll point that out to you. There's a chart in the back of every teaching guide that links those activities that we have planned to the learning indicators, which are our skills, so that you know if you're doing this activity, these are the skills you're addressing. We include developmental level adaptations and also suggestions for ELL, DLL children. And again, starting in September, we have the COVID-19 adaptations as well. So what is the benefit of all that? Well, the benefit is every day you have engaging activities at your fingertips. You know that you're addressing the 10 developmental areas. You've saved so much time because we've linked the skills to the activities, which then you can link to your assessment. We'll talk about that in a second. But there's also plenty of time, and we want you to include your own ideas. So think of this as the foundation of a house, right? When you build a house, you pretty much build the foundation of any house the same way, but every house looks very, very different once you build it. We're that foundation, right? Because if the foundation is not strong, the house is not going to stand up, it's going to fall down. So think of us as that strong foundation. And again, there are adaptations built in there and ready if you need them. So let's say you do have a mixed age group where you've got toddlers and you've got 2s and you've got 4s and you've got school age. We help you adapt the activities so you can do one activity, but do it in different ways for different developmental levels. So what does a teaching guide look like? I printed one out so you could see what it looks like. Some of our providers prefer to print it out and put it in a binder like this, or they staple it. I printed mine in color. You can certainly print in black and white, so you can save ink if you would like. We've run the numbers, believe it or not, and if you run it on draft on your printer, even with the paper cost, even with the ink cost, it still comes out way ahead of if you're paying someone to print it for you. And again, you don't have to. We have a lot of providers that will just view it on their computer. It's a PDF file, so they can just view it on their computer or even on a tablet. Phone would be a little tough because it'd be so small. I would need a magnifying glass. But I put mine in a binder just so you could see this would be what one day would look like laid out. So how do you use the teaching guide? Well, first of all, you download it from our website, and we'll talk about that when we go to the website. Then you can choose to print it out or view it on your computer or tablet. You're going to want to review it ahead of time. We post the units for the next month on the 20th of the month prior. So next week on the 20th, we will be posting our September units, and then they will stay up for 45 days. So our August units were put up the end of July, and they will stay on our website until the beginning of September when we will take them down. So it's very, very, very important that you download and save all the files to your computer and back them up to a flash drive. I use Google Drive, which is part of the cloud, somewhere else just in case something happens to your computer, because we can't keep all these files on our website forever and ever. They're too big, there's too many graphics. It would make our website so slow. So it's really important that you download and save them so you have them, because once you're a customer, they're yours. You can download them and save them, and you want to have them. Look for items listed in red. Those are things that might need a little bit extra time for you to locate or prepare. So it might be something you need to cut apart. It might be something like see if you can find a blue blanket, something like that. If I think you need a little extra time, I'll put it in red. Read over the experiences ahead of time and read through the adaptations that we provided, and think about each child in your group. Which way would work best for each child you have, and then plan accordingly. And then the big part of this is if the children get very involved in an activity or an experience, keep it going. Just because we only have it on one day doesn't mean it needs to end there. So for instance, one of our units in September is called I'm Healthy and Safe, and we're going to talk about doctors and nurses, and we're going to role play doctors and nurses. If the children get involved in that role play, then keep that center and keep those materials available for more than one day. And always, always add your own ideas. Again, we're just the foundation. You're going to make this your own. Okay. The add and enhance is another component of the curriculum, which provides you with ideas and materials to add to your different areas in your classroom or in your program. And there are suggestions for both indoors and outdoors. And so, well, what's the benefit of that? Well, we know that a lot of you are evaluated using either class or Fickers, and we know that the environment is a big part um, of that review. So this tool helps you provide materials for the children to use during free play or guided play where you're engaging with them, that will help you in those areas of intentional learning within those assessments. Um, the materials then open the door for back and forth conversations. They open the door for you to ask open-ended questions. And so they basically help you immerse your learning environment in the unit. So what does it look like? Here's an example of one we did from Creepy Crawlers, which was obviously a unit about insects. And so you'll find suggestions for your art area, dramatic play and dress up, blocks, literacy and writing, gross motor both indoors and outdoors, manipulative math and science. And you'll see when I hover over this, I go from having a black arrow to a hand. That means that there is an active link. So when you print out the PDF, or you have the PDF rather on your computer, if you hover over this and click, it's going to take you to our booklet called The Learning Environment in G-Whiz, which talks about not just this component, but your role in the learning environment, how that all comes into play when you're, looking at class or Fickers, and how you can help to make that learning environment as immersive and as robust as it possibly can be. Okay? All right, so that's add and enhance. The Letters and Literacy booklet was a tool that we added maybe about a year ago. And the goal of this was to help with children who were ready to talk more about letters, letter sounds, sentences, punctuation, who were ready for that developmentally. Not all children are, and you may have no one who is right now, and that's okay. There are ideas in this booklet that help you address those skills that are interwoven with the activities in the teaching guide. So you're not doing additional activities, you're just expanding and scaffolding upon the activities that are in there already. Okay, they're easy to do, and yet they're very effective. So why is this important? Well, doing it in this way, integrating letters, letter sounds words, sentences into the experiences the children are doing in a meaningful way is the way that research has shown that children should be taught letters, not in isolation, not like today's the letter B and we're going to talk all about the B. It's not as meaningful that way. So we build it into the activities you're already doing, so you don't need to do additional planning. You're just going to step it up a bit with those children who are ready. So what does that look like? Here's an example from a letters and literacy book. This would have been in, I think, our Fantastic Friends unit for this month, actually. And the activity in the teaching guide was called Find Your Name. It was on page 5. And the letters that you're going to integrate into this experience for children who are ready are the ones associated with their name. And then this talks about how you're going to do that. Okay. It talks about how you're going to talk about the letters that make up their name. You're going to talk about syllables. You're going to compare and contrast their names. It's a very meaningful way for the children to explore the letters that make up their name. You can even talk about the beginning sound that they hear at the beginning of their name. So there are about 6 to 7 experiences in the letters and literacy booklet that help you integrate an exploration of letters and letter sounds with children who are ready. And again, they may or may not be ready. You'll know if they're ready. And there's a link actually in the letters and literacy booklet to a website where you can just kind of think about, are they ready? Are they ready for this? All right, our teaching tool comes in the second unit of the month. It's a hands-on material that it's ready to print it out and prepare. You don't have to do much other than putting it together. It reinforces specific skills, and you can use this in many different ways. So it's a flexible material that we're giving you one way that you can use it, but you may think of many other ways you can use it. So what is the benefit? Well, you just print it and prepare it. It's a hands-on material that will help you reinforce specific skills and the unit at the same time. If you have another idea on how to use it, print out another copy and do that. And if you think about it, as you're getting one of these a month for the entire year, you're adding to your learning materials. You're adding to the things that you can use in your manipulative or your math center, depending on what the material is. So what does it look like? This is an example from, again, our healthy or I'm taking care of me, I think. In September, we're doing this as our teaching tool, which is patterned strips. These are the strips, and these are the cards. And in the teaching guide, it'll give you directions on how to use this with the children. But again, you may have other ideas on how to use it. I would encourage you also to make more than one copy, prepare more than one copy. Put one in your manipulative or math center so the children can explore it on their own. So again, teaching tool comes in the second unit of the month. Connecting the dots. We have an entire webinar about connecting the dots. This is a very complex and involved component that we just added this summer, but we felt it was absolutely a key thing that we needed to do. So what connecting the dots does is it's a document, multiple pages long, that helps you connect the activities we have planned in a unit to the developmental areas and the specific skills within those areas, and then taking it a step further to your formal child assessment. Say you use GOLD or use ages and stages. It provides space for you to document additional activities that you are doing or are planning to do that will address specific skills. It also provides space for you to connect to the codes that maybe the assessment that you use, GOLD or ages and stages uses, so you can kind of connect your own dots. And the benefits of that are that when you're doing G-Whiz experiences, then you can connect those to your formal assessment easier. And it can also help you match a child's needs with a planned Gee-Whiz experience. So for instance, let's say you have a child that's working on fine motor skills. You can go to this Connecting the Dots booklet and you can see exactly for that unit what activities we have planned and the pages they are on that will address fine motor skills. So you will know, okay, I need to work with Jose on fine motor skills. I'm going to look at the list of activities and make sure that I am, observing during the time he's doing this experience, because maybe I need to record an anecdotal note or maybe I need to do an assessment of where he is. It also provides you with documentation on the skills that you are addressing each month. So what does that look like? Well, I can't possibly put the entire document here because it's multiple pages long. As I said, if you look under our training and support tab on our website, you will find a recording of our Connecting the Dots webinar. I would encourage you to watch it. It is very informational about how to use this in detail. But here's an example. So one of our skills under the language development area is LD1, that's the code, and that's the code you would see in the back of the teaching guide on the chart. It's understand spoken language. Here's a place where you can put down, if your formal assessment tool has a specific code for spoken language, you can put that here. And here are all the activities that we have planned in this unit that will address this specific skill. Here's where you can put over here in this blank area additional activities that you're planning to address this skill. So we have 40 different skills that we address. So you would have 40 different setups just like this within this document. Okay, and each one has its own code, it has the specific skill, and then it has the activities that we are doing that address that. Now, there may be a skill that we don't particularly address in a unit, but that doesn't mean we're not going to address it at all. That just means for some reason in that unit, it just didn't naturally fall into place. But be assured over the course of the year, we will address all those skills for sure. The customized individualized lesson planning sheet falls along with this in that it is a way for you to individualize the curriculum and document those individualizations. We know that this is something that's very important, especially with providers who are working on the higher star levels or accreditation. It is available in both a Word document where you can type in the boxes, and it is available in a PDF version if you prefer to print it and write in the boxes. The most important benefit of that is that it enables you to individualize ahead of time so you're prepared. And it also helps you, again, to document those individualizations. So what does that look like? Again, it's a Word document or a PDF. I've taken one example of one day. So when you look at this on your computer, what you're going to see is you'll see the activities planned for day one and the pages they're on. You would see the unit. You would fill in the dates you're going to do it. You would put in your name. And then what you would do is you put in the children's names across the top, and then you would type or write in how you're going to individualize these experiences for that day for each child. Okay, so what I did is I just abbreviated. WAMF is who are my friends, and FYNG is find your name game, and FWF is for I see a friend. These children are not infants, so obviously I did not do that one. And then I just wrote what I would do. Oh, sorry, went too far. I would just wrote what I would do with the children to individualize. And there are actually space across the top. I cut it down so it would fit on my screen, it fit on this PowerPoint, but there's actually 6 boxes across the top for the children's names. And then on each sheet of paper, there are 2 days of activity. So you'd have day 1 and day 2 on one sheet, and the next sheet with 3 and 4, 5 and 6, et cetera, et cetera. So this is a really good way for you to document how you're individualizing, especially if you are working again on your higher star levels or your accreditation, because we know that providers have told us they need to document that. So again, that's called the customized individualized lesson planning sheet, available in a Word and a PDF format. The story props are pretty self-explanatory. Instead of a teaching tool in the first unit, you get a story, and it's an original story most of the time. Sometimes we've done fairy tales, but the majority of the time they're original. They integrate with the lesson plans, they integrate with the unit. You just print them and prepare them. They're a great tool for helping children build different literacy skills, including things like listening and predicting and plot and characters, all of those things. They're easy to prepare, and you can print an additional copy because, again, everything is on our website. So let's say you want to print out a second copy to put in your language area, which is an excellent idea, so then children can tell the story on their own in their own words. So what's an example of a story prop? This was a story we did, I think it was for a unit called In the Pond or By the Pond, and it was a story about frogs, but it also involved counting. And you used a blue towel or a blue blanket as a pond. So in your teacher's guide, you would have the text for the story, and then you would print these out and prepare them, and then you would use them as you share the story. And the teaching guide would give you ideas on when and how to use the prop. Okay, so this is just one example of many different kinds of props that we do throughout the year. Again, story props in the first unit, teaching tool in the second. The printable puppet also comes in the second unit. It's integrated into the lesson plans. Again, you just print it out and prepare it. Puppets are great because they keep the children's attention. They're also a way to integrate the unit into not just the activities that you're doing with G-Whiz, but other activities as well. Sometimes people use the puppet to have during transition times, you know, to have the puppet tell the children what to do or show them what to do, and they follow the puppet and do whatever. Um, Here's an example of a puppet. This was from our gardening unit, and it was a pocket puppet. So all you would do is print this out. You would fold it right in the center where it says fold, tape at the top, tape at the side, and put your hand up inside. If you wanted to make a puppet for every child, could you? Absolutely. With G-Whiz, you're able to print up to 12 copies of anything for the children. So when you're buying subscriptions, you would buy them, you know, one teacher, one provider for up to 12 children. So you certainly could do that if you so chose. The materials list is something that came about because a provider asked us to please do this. It's pretty self-explanatory. It is a document that lists everything you need every day by activity, and anything that needs a little extra help or extra time to collect would be in red. We also have bright yellow boxes on the last page for things that, let's say we're going to do a special snack, or let's say that there might be something that you might not have on hand, like a toy fire truck. But then we also put in another yellow box. Hey, maybe parents or guardians would be happy to send in a toy fire truck that you could borrow. So it just saves you a lot of time. You can look at that list, you know exactly what you need every day, and you can get parents and guardians to help maybe bring in some things, which is a wonderful way to promote family involvement. Here's what it looks like, one page of it. There's 3 pages to this each day. Again, anything in red that you need a little bit of extra time to gather, prepare. And then most of the other things, we try to use things you're going to have around the house. Regular old household items like a box or a paper grocery bag or a shopping bag, paper shopping bag, plastic bowl, plastic spoon, those kinds of things. We know that you don't have time to go out and buy a lot of things, nor does anyone want to spend a lot of money to buy those kinds of things either. I'm going to pause right there because I've covered a lot of things. Those are a lot of the provider components. Next, we're going to look at the family components and the per child components, but I want to make sure that I stop right now and see if anybody has any questions about anything we've covered so far.
A couple of questions that came in while you were presenting, Beth, is a couple of people have joined late. We've had quite a few come in just recently. This webinar is being recorded, and by tomorrow it should be the recording should be ready to post on our site. So don't worry, it will be there. It will be available for you to review the early material. Also, they're wanting to, there was a question about getting a copy of the 1 day of the sample lesson plan, and that's also available on our on the first tab under About Gee-Whiz.
We're going to go there next after we're done with the
Okay.
PowerPoint. Yep.
And
Yep.
someone had a great question. Is there an app for Gee-Whiz, like for your phone? We wish. That's a great idea, but we're just really excited about getting our new webpage up, and but it's something we should take into consideration. But thank you. One thing I do on my phone is just well, it doesn't always work on my phone. It works on my iPad. Sorry, I'm not going to take that back. You can save, like, you know, a little on my iPad. I can kind of save a link to real quick. But anyway, but it was a great question. Thank you.
Any other questions
Um,
about any of the components that I've gone over? I know it's a lot to take in, and we're going to actually go to the website. I'm going to log in and show you where the curriculum is. I'll show you where the sample lesson plan lives.
and this also this file that Beth's been using is on the web page also. So again, don't worry, you will be able to get that even after the webinar is over.
Absolutely. Well, if there's no more questions, I'm going to go on to the family involvement components. We know that family involvement and parental engagement is extremely important. So we've built that into the curriculum as well. There's a family letter with each unit that has an introduction to what the unit will be about, the main concepts. It has ideas for the parents or family members to do with their children during bath time, mealtime, when riding in the car, um, and before bed. And then there also usually is a song or a rhyme they can do together. Because it is a PDF and it is digital, you don't need to print it out and give it to them because we all know where that's going to end up, in the diaper bag or under the seat in the car. You can actually attach it to an email and email it to them. We do have also our All About My Week reports. These are designed to go home on Fridays. They give the parent or guardian a very good idea of what their child has been working on, what area they've been spending a lot of time in, what they're getting very good at. And if you make a photocopy or you put a copy in the children's portfolio, it's a running record of kind of where they've been and where they're going for the time that they're with you. We also have things called digital family notes, and you need to think of these as a photo on your iPhone or your cell phone or a picture on your computer in a picture file. It's a JPEG. So it can actually be not just emailed to a family member or a parent, it can be texted as well. They're very simple things that they can do at home to reinforce the unit as well. And all three of those things are available in both English and Spanish. If you click this picture of this cute little guy and his dad, it will take you to our parent involvement, family engagement, and G-Whiz booklet, which covers not just how we address those things with the curriculum, but how other ideas of how you can continue to do that within your program as well. The per child component is a make it sheet, and these are optional. These are not worksheets. We do not have color cut and paste. Um, you saw the teaching tool, which was the patterning strips and cards. That might be an example of something we would give you as a make it sheet for each child who's ready to do that. The goal is for them to take that home, and it's something they can continue to play with or do with mom and dad at home. It might be a book, it might be a lotto game, it could be a memory game. There are so many different things that we do. If there is text on the paper, then we would do that in both English and Spanish as well. Another per child component is our individualization web, which goes hand in hand with that customized individualized lesson planning form. This is a way for you to document how you're going to integrate a child's interests and or needs with the unit itself. You can put the completed webs in a child's portfolio, again, to have a running record of how you're individualizing G-Whiz. It's a great tool for you to document that individualization. It also makes that process much easier. So what does it look like? The individualization web will always have at the top the unit we're doing, and it will have a list of the concepts. And then here you would talk about, if you're doing it to talk about what they want to learn about, you might have a child, for instance, that right now is really interested in, I don't know, dinosaurs. So how could you interweave dinosaurs with the unit of fantastic friendship? If you hover over the individualization web when you bring this PDF up on your computer, you can actually access that section of our user's guide that talks about individualizations and anecdotal notes and reflections. It's a really important section for you to refer to, and we go to the website, I'll show you where that user's guide is. But an easy way to access it is just to hover and click. So again, those are all the components of the G-Whiz curriculum, from everything for you as the provider to the family to the children. Any questions before we leave this PowerPoint and actually go to our website?
Couple of comments that some people are telling us they came later, but don't worry about that. Um, no questions yet, Beth. So I
Okay,
think we're good.
all right.
But if you do have questions after she gets started and goes to the site, you can always send them. Don't worry, we'll stop and cover those questions for you.
Okay, we are so excited for those of you who are current customers or subscribers that we now have a new website, which we think is so much easier to navigate than our old website. Um, and so what we're going to do here is we're just going to look around a little bit so that those of you who are not customers can kind of see where things are. And even those of you who are current subscribers, things might be in a slightly different place. First and foremost, about the curriculum, somebody asked about a sample lesson plan. If you go about the curriculum and go down, you can click, and there are two options here. So one is a sample lesson plan so you can see how it's laid out and what's included in the lesson plan. Here's a one-day sample lesson plan that you can actually try and has everything you need. So if you wanted to see how it works, you can do that for one day and see how it works for your group. So those are two options you have under sample lesson plan. Also under About the Curriculum is our catalog, which is digital, and you can go there and click to the section you want to read, or you can read the whole thing. Our user's guide is our training manual, and when we do training, we have gone through this in great detail. It has all the developmental areas, it has the learning indicators, it has anecdotal notes and individualizations, it has linguistic responsiveness. It also has our yearly outline. So if you want to see what's coming up for 2020-21, starting with September, you'll go to the user's guide page. And if you scroll right down here, you'll see 2020-2021 outline. And you can click that and it'll open up the outline for the upcoming year. Also under here, you can see where we are aligned. We have our state alignment documentation there, also where we are approved, because we are approved in many states, and then how we address assessment, which we've covered a lot of that as we went through the PowerPoint, how we integrate assessment and how you can integrate your chosen assessment into G-Whiz. And that was intentional. We felt like there was no need to reinvent the wheel. We felt like there were a lot of really strong assessment tools out there, so why did we need to come up with basically the same thing over again? Instead, we give you the tools to help you integrate what you're already using or what you choose that works best for you with what we're doing. The Educational Resources tab has that learning environment booklet. It has our parent involvement and family engagement booklet. It has a lot of free resources for you as a provider, resources for your family. And if you're a quality specialist, we have a special section just for you with materials that you may find very helpful as you work with providers. Under training and support, I want to go here and just point out that this is where we're going to be going in a second at the end, where I'll show you where you can go to do your to get to your certificate. We do have a special offer for fall right now. If you ever want to send us an email, this is the best way to do it. But what I want to do right now is I want to first of all go back to the home page, and I want to show you how you log in. So if you are not a customer right now, you would need to sign up, and you can choose to be monthly, quarterly, or yearly. I'll show you that after we go into the curriculum and I show you how to log in. But because I am actually a customer, or I guess considered a trainer, I'm going to put in my information here. And I'm going to log in. This is how you would get to the curriculum once you become a customer. And so what you'll see has happened is it says curriculum, current units, and I'm going to scroll down. And basically what I'm going to do right now, if you forgot or you forget, this is a short video that we recorded about how to get to the curriculum, but with the new site, it is so much easier. So you just scroll down and you're going to see our current units right now for August are Healthy and Strong and Fantastic Friendship. And it has a little bit of just a brief description here. And then you have two choices, English and Spanish. The English files have everything all the files. The Spanish files are only going to be those components that are available in Spanish. The family letter, the digital family notes, all about my week, any make it sheets that are maybe, needing to be in Spanish because there is text on them. But the majority of the files that you're all going to need are going to be under English. So I'm going to click English. And you're going to see a picture pull up. It's going to give you a brief description again, and you scroll down and you're going to see a list of files. Okay, so we have the teacher's guide, the story props, because remember, first unit has story props, materials list, letters and literacy, add and enhance, connecting the dots, and on and on and on and on, and it keeps going down to the bottom. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up the teaching guide. Again, these are all PDF files. So when you open up our teaching guide, and this is our first one for August, you're going to always see an introduction to the unit. Anything in yellow will be things that maybe you want to just think about gathering as soon as possible. There's a table of contents, and then you're going to see these program symbols. Now, in G-Whiz, we use these symbols to help you connect the activities to the developmental areas they address. So when you see, for instance, the speech bubble, you'll know that you're addressing language development. If you see the hand, excuse me, you'll know you're addressing physical development and health. These are gross motor activities. This is how we designate something that can or should be done outside. And then character education is built into the Gee Whiz curriculum. We do honesty, responsibility, kindness, and respect. All right, those are the four. And they're built in. So if you see that symbol, you know you're addressing character education. We have a planning grid that gives you an overview of what's going to be coming up for the 10 days. A lot of providers will print this and post this for families so they can kind of see what's going on. And then we go into our first day, okay? And I'm going to just slow down a little bit because this will be the first time that you've actually seen what a lesson plan looks like, because the one that was in the PowerPoint obviously is too small to read. So I want to point out the highlights, particularly for those of you who are not familiar with what we do. So our unit name, the focus of the day, and then this is a cumulative list of all the areas you will address if you do the experiences planned for this day in the Gee Whiz curriculum. So social and emotional, language, physical development and health, approaches to learning literacy, science, music, social studies, creative arts, math, and logic and reasoning. In other words, pretty much everything. We always have a health and safety tip every day. We have a teaching tip every day, and we have a transition idea every day. In this box, we all know that modeling language is very important. So what we have here are words that we want you to incorporate as you have conversations with children during the activities you do today. Hydrated may seem like a very big word for a preschooler or a toddler, but if you're using it in context, it will become more, they will easily be able to understand what you're talking about. Okay, so you'll be building robust vocabulary, excuse me, but doing it in a meaningful way. Then you scroll down and we have our exploring together experience. Now remember, I said this is like a circle time or a group time, but it's not a time when you're just talking and they're just sitting there listening to you. It's a time when you're actively doing things. So during this experience, you're going to be sharing our story props for this unit, Healthy Henry, but then you're also going to be doing some other experiences together where you're getting moving, and you can read about that down here where you're going to be doing exercises, and you're going to be counting out loud, and you're going to be incorporating math. So again, if you look at the list of skills up here, all of these areas of development are going to be addressed as you do this one experience. Plus, it's a gross motor experience, and it can be done outside if you want to. We build open-ended questions into the experiences we do in Gee-Whiz because, again, we know that that is part of what Fickers in class are looking for, and it's a great way to engage children in conversations and help them to build higher orders thinking skills. So for instance, like the last one, if you went to a gym to work out, what type of aerobic exercise would you do? Everybody's answer to that is going to be different. And then you can take that a little step further and say, well, why did you choose that aerobic exercise? You know, is it because you like it the best? Do you think it'd be the best workout? Is it the one your mom does or your grandpa does? So again, you're opening that door for conversations. So that's the first page of the first day. And here's the second page, because remember we said there's a group experience, 2 small groups, and an infant. These are your small group experiences right here. And some of them you will find have adaptations for different developmental levels. So as we went through the PowerPoint, we talked about read it all. Read it all and think about each child that you have in your group and think about which way of doing it would work best for each child, and then do it that way. You're doing one experience, but you're adapting it for each different child's developmental level. And then some of them, like dancing is exercise, we don't need to level that because children are automatically going to level it on their own, right? They're going to do what's appropriate for them. And then we have an infant experience, which in this case is a song that you're going to sing and bounce up and down. So there's a place you can add your own experiences or add notes. That's up to you. But that's an example of just one day. Then you would go on to day 2. And the focus would be, what are muscles? You're going to have your exploring together. And if I scroll to the next page, you're going to have your 2 small group experiences in pink, and you're going to have your infant experience in purple. And again, picture codes. So you know when you do muscle power, you're going to do physical development, language, math, social and emotional, science, logic and reasoning, and approaches to learning. Okay? Does anybody have any questions right now about the way we lay out the lesson plans and the teaching guides? Keep in mind that this is, one guide out of the month. There are 10 days in here, plus I'll show you where the school age experiences are, and then there's a whole separate unit, which is Fantastic Friends, which is another 10 days. Any questions about the way the lesson plans are laid out?
Beth,
Thoughts
no
or
one's
comments?
typed any questions in, but would you take a second just to show them where to download? Like,
Yes.
just to put this in a folder so that they have it on their own computer.
Yes. So
Okay.
when you pull it up, I'm on a PC, all right? So it's going to maybe look a little different if you happen to be on a Mac. Here's your download button. This is where you would click to download it, and then you would create a folder that would maybe say healthy and strong. And then you could put all the files for that unit in that healthy and strong folder. Or if you prefer, you can just download each individual file and put it wherever you want to put it. If you want to print it, you would do that here. And that's where you would choose to do it in draft mode or choose to do it two-sided or black and white. Again, you don't have to print it at all. You can just view it right on your computer, but you do want to download and save it to your computer and then save it again to something like a flash drive, an external hard drive, or I use Google Drive. It's important to save all the files because that way you have them A, and B, then if something happens to your computer, you have a backed up version somewhere else. Because we can't go back, say, 6 months from now and your computer crashes and you need all the files from 2018. There's just no way we can do that. So, we can't keep them on the website and we don't have them readily available. So, the best thing for you to do is make sure that you've backed it up and saved it. If you have a teenager in your house or even an older elementary school student or a middle school student, they know how to do all of this stuff. So that's where I go when I need help. I yell at my kids, help! So if you have a neighbor, if you have, a child that can help you, or right now everybody's stuck at home anyway, I'm sure that you can find someone that maybe would help you organize your files. So anyway, that was just 2 days of the lesson plans. Again, it goes on like this. We're running tight on time, so I'm not going to scroll all the way through here. But after the 10 days, then you have 6 activities that are for school age children. If in this case, this is the first unit, you would have your story. You would have the text for the story, Healthy Henry. You would have how to use your make it sheets. You would have some additional activities for advanced preschoolers. You would have the chart that I talked about that tells you for each activity what skills it addresses. You would have a book list, so you could get books at the library. If your library is, I know ours is, you can go online and request the books and then they have them ready for pickup, because you can't obviously go to the library right now. um, their songs would be in the back, and anything that I feel like would be helpful for you that maybe we're doing some type of a game. I know when we did a farm unit one time, we were looking for lost sheep, so I just gave you some printable sheep that could be cut apart and then taped to blocks, and you could hide them and find them. Anything like that that I think would be helpful to save you time would be in the back of the teaching guide. Okay. Any questions about the teaching guide, how it's laid out, what's in there, the picture codes, how we connect those dots? Any questions whatsoever?
Okay. One question, and I'm reading it. Not sure how to word it, but one 5-day plan is for 2 weeks since there are only 10 days in a unit. Hopefully that makes sense. I think what maybe you missed is there are 2 units with 10 days of activity in each unit. So that's 20 days.
20
Is,
days for the month. Yes,
yeah,
correct.
yeah,
That is correct.
right.
So like this unit, which is called Healthy and Strong, would have 10 days of activities. And then our second unit for August was called Fantastic Friends, and it would have 10 more days of activities. So basically you have 2 2-week units. Now, that is up to you whether you want them to be 2 weeks or you want to extend them to be 3 weeks or whatever. That's totally up to you. But when we plan them, it is 2 10-day units for a total of 20 days for the month. Does that make sense?
Hopefully it does. Yes, she said, thank you. It makes
You're
sense.
welcome. You're welcome.
All
Any
right.
other questions about the teaching guide?
I see no more questions.
Okay,
So,
so
great.
all the other components that are here are the ones that we looked at in the PowerPoint, and you would simply open them up and print them out. Now, I do want to show you this connecting the dots because I want to show you the chart that I was mentioning that's in the teaching guide is also in here. So again, this is a 16-page document, and this is the one that helps you connect to the specific skills and then your formal assessment tool. Here's the chart. So let's say we did the Healthy Henry experience, and we know that in the lesson plans we have the picture codes for all the developmental areas. This takes it a step further to the specific skills. Now, let's say you want to know what LD1, LD2, LD3, LD4 mean. Of course you do. Otherwise, it's meaningless. So just keep scrolling, and you will see here's LD1, all the experiences in this unit that address that skill. LD2, all the experiences that address that skill, and it goes on and on and on and on for 40 different skills, okay? So this is the way you connect to the specific skills. Over here's where you would, again, write down your objectives or your skill code from the assessment that you're using, your formal child assessment, and then also where you can plan the additional activities that address this skill, all right? And there's a connecting the dots with every unit. All right, so what I want to do now is, let's say I was ready, I had already done all these. If I'm ready for my next unit, I would just go there and do Fantastic Friends. Right now, we have 2 units available to download. Next week, when you come back to this page, these will still be here and they will stay here until about September the 5th, but there will also be our September units, which will be coming up. That's Super Senses and Taking Care of Me, and those will be posted at that point so you can download and save those. We try to send out an email that says the new units are posted, and we have been recording short videos about that unit, about the unit, so you can kind of gather anything that we think might be beneficial ahead of time, and hopefully we'll be able to continue to do that. And we would, oh, sorry, my computer does that. Speaking of computers being wacky, anyway, that would also be somewhere available in this area. So again, this is an area of the website that you can only get to if you're a customer. You cannot get here if you're not a customer. Also, under the member portal, you can update your account. You can look at your invoices. If you want to switch from monthly to quarterly or quarterly to yearly, you can do that. And we also have some special tools that are just for G-Whiz customers, some special printables and other materials that we give you as a bonus. Okay. Anybody have any questions about anything that we looked at related to the materials within the member portal? In other words, the things that are part of the curriculum and how you get there. I just simply signed in. That was all I did, and I came to this page, which I then scrolled down to see the units. For those of you who are existing customers and were on the old site, I personally think this is so much easier and easier to get to the files and find the files that you need. So hopefully you do as well.
Don't have any questions. I think you gave them some time while you're explaining, because I know we're running tight, but I think we're good. No questions.
Okay, so what I'm going to do right now is I want to go to under training and support. And if you have a pencil and you want to write this down, you might want to write this down. Go to webinar training, and you're just going to scroll down, and you're going to see right here the all about the Gee Whiz curriculum webinar that we're doing right now. Okay, here is a link if you want to download the PDF of the PowerPoint if you didn't get a chance to do it. And the assessment document, I'm not going to click it because I don't have it turned on yet, but it's actually a link to our Google form, which will then, after you answer a few quick questions, give you the ability to download and print out your certificate. okay? But if you click that right now, or if I click it right now, it's going to say, I'm sorry, it's not taking responses yet. That's because I have to turn it on. So after we end this webinar and I take any last questions, I will go out and I will turn the form on. Give me just a few minutes. It won't take long, I promise. And then you can come to this page, which again, just to review, is simply under our training and support webinar training page, and scroll down to that one that says assessment document and click that. And it'll take you right to our Google form. You'll answer the quick questions. And at the very bottom, click submit. Once you click submit, you're going to see a link that then you can copy and paste to be able to access the PDF certificate for this webinar. Okay. And if you have problems, the best way to reach us is under, again, training and support. Send us an email. Just fill out that form and we will do our best to help you. All right, with that said, I do want to show those of you who are not customers yet, and I'm going to have to log out, I believe, because otherwise it's not going to let me sign up if I'm already a customer. So just give me a second here and go back to our website. And now I can go to sign up. So if you're not a current customer and you would like to become a current customer, click the sign up button. And you're just going to choose the subscription that you want, whether it's monthly, quarterly, or yearly. Basically, that's just how you're paying, right? You're either going to pay monthly, you're going to pay quarterly, or you're going to pay yearly. And we're just like Netflix, right? We renew automatically until you cancel, and you can cancel at any time. You're not locked in. So even if you are on a, let's say you're on the quarterly plan and you use it for 3 months and you're like, oh, I just don't know if I want to continue. It's not working out the way I thought, or with COVID, who knows what's going to happen. You can cancel at any time, and you can do that under the My Account section once you're logged in. But you can certainly cancel at any time. So you would just click what you want to do to subscribe, which monthly plan you want, and fill out the form. It's just your standard, order form. And then once your payment processes and clears, you can go up to the top of this page and click the login button, and boom, you have access to the curriculum. No waiting, no shipping and handling, and you're ready to go. So with that said, we are almost out of time. So does anybody have any? I do want to make sure I answer any questions that anyone has at this point. Any questions I can answer before we call it an evening. And again, I'll get that form activated in just a few minutes once we end.
Okay, one good question is, where do you find the Connecting the Dots webinar again? That page where Beth showed you to go after the webinar is over to access the assessment document, there's a ton of webinars. As you scroll on down the page, there's a lot of different webinars that you can, you'll click just the recorded where it says watch, and there'll be a watch button on the one we're doing tonight starting tomorrow. And then you can watch all these different webinars.
Yep,
But
they're all right
they'll
there.
all be posted there. I was going
Okay,
to
and
bring
all of
that up
that is,
anyway.
yep, all of that is just under the webinar training tab. Any other questions we can
Okay,
answer?
there is one question. I don't know what state she's from, but she says she was currently a member, but she's getting an email saying that G-Whiz is not approved. Can you address the issue? Can you share with us what state you're in? Is maybe we can address, or
Yeah, if
maybe
I know what
after.
state it is, I can look into it.
Yeah, if you can just type in the box and tell us what state you're in, we will try to get back with you because we'll have your email. As you add COVID adaptations, please keep in mind stuffed animals, dolls, and other non-washable items we're not allowed to use. Very good point. Thank you.
Yeah, and you know
Uh,
what? The thing about the COVID adaptations is we can't possibly adapt everything, and we know that, and we hope that you realize that too. And the other part of that is it is different from place to place to place. I mean, we have places that are going back to school, no masks, no social distancing, and then we have places where it's very strict. So it is all over the place. So yeah, I mean, obviously you're just going to have to use your best judgment there. We'll do our best to put as many in as we can, but this whole situation is challenging to say the least, and you all know that better than anybody.
The state that's in question is Florida. And Beth, you know the page that we have on there that has the document that links to the approved curriculum for the state of Florida? Is it
Yeah,
right there,
if you
right at the
go
bottom?
under, yeah, if you go under there, and you
It's
scroll down where it says click to access this information, it should bring you to another page. And then if you scroll down even farther, right here is the actual link where we are on that list. So there should be no question whatsoever that we're not approved in the state of Florida. In fact, they've even changed our name on that list to saying for family child care to just G-Whiz Online so that centers in Florida can use it as well. So um, I'm not quite sure why you would be being told you can't, but the documentation is, again, I'm going to back up because this is important for everybody. All the alignment charts are here, but if we are an approved, like in Florida or North Carolina, I just went under about the curriculum, the state alignments, and then I scrolled down to this where it says click to access this information. And if we're approved, we've actually pulled it from the state site and put it there so you can see where we're on the list. Illinois, Minnesota, Pennsylvania, Delaware, um, Nebraska, North Carolina. So anyway, hopefully you'll get that straightened out. But if you don't, send us a note to customer service and we'll see what we can do to help you because there should be no question in Florida at all.
okay. Next question is all of the videos, whoops, I skipped over, approved for credit? You can get a certificate after you attend the or listen to the webinar and you do a post assessment. Then you would get a certificate showing that you have attended the webinar or that you have proven that you have sat through and listened to the training. Do we need to log into our account to get the certificate? You don't need to log into your account, but you must watch the video, watch the webinar, and then click on the assessment tab, which will carry you to a Google Forms. You fill out the assessment, and then that will give you the link for your certificate. Can we get credit for training through the STARS program? And I'm
Uh,
assuming that's
I'm not
probably Ohio.
there's so many different STARS programs.
I know.
The only directory or only registry we are in right now is Pennsylvania. We do have a lot of our recorded videos in the Pennsylvania registry, and it details in there how you have to go about getting credit. We have not gone through that process in other states yet. However, I will say if you are a quality specialist on the call or on the webinar tonight, and if you look at any of those recorded webinars we have, if you would like the PowerPoint so you can do the training, I'm happy to send it to you. We have done that in the past and it's not a problem for us to do that. So we haven't gone through that process and there's a lot of reasons why. On the state level, the requirements for us as trainers that the hoops we have to jump through can be quite intense. So unless you're in Pennsylvania and you're talking about those types of where you go into your registry and you put your proof of attending
She
type
is.
things in there, yeah, it's just Pennsylvania right now.
Yeah, and this person is in Pennsylvania or Philadelphia. So, um, okay.
This one is not in there, and there's a reason. We are not allowed to put in our training on our curriculum in PA for whatever reason. But some of the other ones, like making math meaningful, diversity, some of the recorded ones that are available under training and support are in there. And when you go in the registry, in the PA registry, it'll tell you specifically what you need to do in order to get the credits, because there's a certain step-by-step process you have to follow, which includes emailing me, and my email's in there. So
Okay, thank you so much for attending tonight. We've run a little bit over, but I think there's some really good questions that we needed to cover for folks. And if you do have further questions later, again, where Beth showed you to send us an email, please do. And we want to thank you again. And with that, we're going to end the webinar. And Beth,
yep,
we'll tell them.
the only thing I'm going to say is give me 5 minutes to go out there and activate that form again, just so you don't forget. All right, because I know how it is this time of night. I'm forgetting everything. Training and support, under webinar training, scroll down and you'll see that under today's All About Gee Whiz, the assessment link, just click that. But again, give me just a few minutes to turn it on. So if you click it right now, it says it's not available. It's just because I haven't had a chance to turn it on yet.
All right. Thank you again and good night.
Thanks, everybody. Bye.